today on the program, it's something that it's been trending, everybody's talking about it. But Perspective this morning, of course, is going to have the conversation to let our guests share their viewpoint on the cases that is surrounding this issue. But the focal thing is challenges of security network in Nigeria vis-a-vis the recent killings in Edo and other states of the Federation. Well, it's no news that the 19 Kano State-bound travelers killed at Uromi, Edo State, seems to be dividing the citizens of the country on security and other issues. It has brought to the fore some unresolved issues concerning security and nipping in the bud cases of terrorist attacks, militancy, armed robbery, banditry, kidnapping for ransom, others farmers clashes, cultism, among other social vices. Like I said, Perspective this morning, I have our guest in the studio, the Chief Security Strategist, International Institute for Security and Governance Studies, Mr. David Okoro. Thank you for coming to the studio. It's been quite some time.
Yeah, thank you for having me again.
And so beside him, I have the security expert and energy consultant, Mr. Kelvin Fineface, who is actually a fine face.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Bukky Towuru. It's a pleasure to have you join us, and we must also say, yes, to our Muslim brothers and sisters, they took 30 minutes of our time for the past 4 weeks, but the program is back now. Please bear with us. So let's keep it rolling. So let me start with you, Mr. Okoro. Some argue that the main causes of insecurity in the country could be traced to growing culture of vengeance and reprisal killings. What do you make of that?
Well, the problem of growing insecurity in Nigeria has very little to do with the culture of violence, because something generates, something leads to the culture of violence. When you say a culture, that means a norm, that means a way of life of the people. And Nigerians are not known to be violent. But when a society creates the environment of people to become violent, this is what you see. If you want us to look at the Uromi incident, I want to say it's what you saw was a result of several years of pent-up anger and frustration. I must start by expressing my deep condolence to the life that were lost and their family members, the state government of the state where they came from. This is not Nigeria. This is what has happened is not what we are. What has happened has shown the worst of our people. But when people are, you said a culture, when people are driven to the edge or they are driven to the limit, this is the kind of reaction that you see. And the result, the reason for this kind of reaction is when government persistently, in the face of repeated attacks, in the face of repeated criminalities against the people, government fails to act. Usually you're going to have the people reacting, taking the law into their hands. And today Nigerians are literally being told to take the law into your hand if you want to be protected. Because I know for sure that the issue of kidnapping in that whole region, where they call the Eastern land, have been on for a while. And a lot of effort have been made to bring in government at the federal and state level, and they fail spectacularly. So when you now have a situation which I can describe as profiling, when you consistently say that this particular group of people are responsible for a particular crime, and it sticks to that name, that these people are the ones carrying out this crime, it sticks. And where you can describe it as profiling, the people then see this group of people as enemies. So whether it's the innocent or those who are actually involved in the crime can become victim. So
Mr. Fineface, from what you were saying, they talked about profiling. Some narratives in the media spaces, so many people have been bringing to perspective what actually they've seen happened, especially in Uromi, Edo State. Everybody apologized. This isn't what is supposed to be. But it sounded like the people couldn't just help it. They had to come up. Some even said virtually all of the killings, or let's say 85% of the killings that were checked, it was particular tribe, particular region, and that nothing is being done about it. That's what they are seeing. It's not just starting from this regime, it started from Goodluck Jonathan's time. What do you make of that?
Well, the profiling thing is key, like you said, but we are missing something here. When there is absence of governance in any given society, anarchy is the next thing that sets in. Nigeria's problem is where you find it that there's no justice or seem to be outdone. The people will resort to self-help. The complaints didn't start today. Today we have the Kano's experience. Sadly, loss of lives, such heinous crime being committed. It's more like a test case scenario. We're using Edo State as now as a sampling of other things that happen in other regions. Kidnappings, ransom payments, killings from these regions without government interference, intervention rather.
Because I'm wondering what is
You
the
know,
thing about
so
this that is making
when
everybody.
people don't have any means of government intervention, they will resort to self-help. Those who we are seeing from the reports we're gathering, different stories are coming up from every day. I'm expecting investigative journalists to be able to do the right thing. Take the time to get the information. Is government doing anything, any way, to see that that region, other regions have actually had different complaints, having access to justice when things like this happen? Why do we have repressal killings and it's allowed? They say it's repressal killing. It's not becoming a norm that because somebody killed cow, somebody go kill human beings as repressal killings, and it's allowed. I heard the former president Buhari said something in that regard, and that asking people to learn to live with their neighbors when they are being killed. We're seeing genocide being taking place in some part of this country, in Benue, in southern Kaduna. We've seen it's genocide. We don't want to call it genocide. We fail to also want to call people that are committing these crimes their names. We say some people of some particular region or religion. No. The killings we're seeing, the kidnappings we're seeing are being done by the same set of people. Now, other groups are doing it. When kidnapping was being done in the southern part of Nigeria, we had the militants all actually elsewhere that period until they give them amnesty. We call them Niger Delta militants, commit the kidnappings. When these killings have been done by these same headers, who are mostly Fulanis of origin, we should call them the names so that we can know how to nip them. So their own group of persons can also say, look, we're not all the same thing. These are the people who are committing, and let's find a way to get justice for these people. If we do things like that, we'll be able to get a difference. Until we properly profile these things accordingly, give the name they're supposed to be, then ensure that justice actually served, we will continue to see repressal killings, revenge killings, and in some cases, they say once a state becomes a state of nature, what do you see? It becomes short and brutish. That's what we're having now in the country.
You talked about government something, the steps being taken by the Edo State governor. What do you make of that?
That's more like for what I would call the photo ops. Yes, it's photo ops. Before those killings by the so-called canoe-bound hunters in quotes, there've been a lot of complaints to the government of the killings. He's also from that place. It's partly from Uromi. He knows these things are going on, but guess what? It was overlooked. Let us not offend certain kind of persons. To some degree, it looks like Nigeria is a captured nation where you have the conqueror and the conquered, living together. And we have to tell ourselves some truth. That we're no longer in that era where you have people who believe that they've actually captured an area and you're subjected to them. We're supposed to be having an egalitarian society. Security is only a condition that is achieved. And for it to achieve, there are certain parameters need to be put in place to achieve such security. The level of insecurity we're having today has gone beyond what we normally would see as insecurity. This is basic, more like an ongoing, a going concern rather, because people are making so much money from this business. I saw last week. I saw a video of some, kidnappers who are displaying the money, just spraying this thing all around because they ask for ransom, huge amount of money. I listened to one of the kings within that region said he also paid ransom for his person that was kidnapped around that Ubiaja area. Is that what we should be looking at? It's not becoming a norm that we can't do anything, just pay money and go. That a general of the Nigerian army kidnapped. I read his story, and it's a sorry state, so to speak. We have the capacity, through even carbon tracing, to get to this forest, because you can actually know where people are living in a particular area through carbon tracing. The technology is there. Is it being deployed? No. Why? Because some persons are not necessarily involved and some persons are making good money out of it. There are those who we call the kidnap mongers who benefit from the crisis going on within this region. They make money from it. it also helps them to be able to have the short, gap measures that you can award contract without necessarily going to the due process, because under emergency we need to implement this, so they award those contracts that give money back to those persons. These are things that we have to use to sit down and say, look, let's really assess some truth. Are we having a security agency system that is incapacitated and that they can't function, or that some way complacency is also part of the game? Because we've also seen some, security agents have been involved in this kidnapping business, or some form of armed robbery has been reported in the media, in time past. All that, there is a systemic problem that needs to be addressed. Do we have leadership that is seeing it as a need, or that they don't care until when it's time for election, then they come up with all of those promises again, and we'll go back to the drawing board to start doing things? If we take care of those things, I strongly believe. I listen to him and I'm like, oh, okay, this is an expert. How much of his advice has the government actually received and follow through? None. Except, of course, he plays the political game alongside with them.
You know what baffles me? Most times when we come on this program, the guests have fantastic viewpoints, and I'm wondering what's happening. It's like Nigeria does not really lack the people to drive
No, we don't.
whatever it is that we want
don't.
to drive. But Mr. David, let me come back to you. Does it look like government is paying lip service? Going by some reports that came during the Buhari administration sent by the United Arab Emirates to Nigeria of names of big people funding terrorism and some other crimes in the country. And the person actually said, the Honorable Minister then received that, but nobody's yet to see anything happen.
Well, if you ask me, my name is Dr. Okoro David. I'm a security strategist. I tell you that if government wants, if government listen to some of the things we are ready to say or information that we have, in 6 months, we can reduce kidnapping in this country to the
Let me ask, how do you want them to listen to you?
But
Do you reach out? Is there a means of reaching out to probably the security or police? Because it's getting so bad. The last time I saw a news about the former NYSC boss being kidnapped, that was a brigadier general, for crying out loud.
Yes, that's the point. Kidnapping, today, Nigeria's greatest problem is actually insecurity. You find Nigerians living this country in droves. And if you ask them, apart from power failure and maybe a bit of economic crisis, everybody talks about security. Now, if you move around Abuja, you see that those who are wealthy, who have some little means, will now carry police escort. They go with convoys and all that because people are afraid for their safety. But like I said, the problem of insecurity having to do with kidnapping is a problem that can be solved with the appropriate strategy and government political will. In 6 months, we can degrade this.
So you're saying that government is actually not doing it?
No, government is not interested in doing the right things because all the solutions are out there. If they are willing to listen, all the solutions are out there. We can put together the assets that are required to address insecurity in Nigeria are available. So it's just a political will. I'm not even saying bring more money. It's just structure what you already have, and these issues can be addressed. And by the way, I am from a few kilometers from Uromi where this happened. That's where I was born and I grew up. Yes. Now, you need to realize what the people in that Eastern land have gone through. In fact, the whole of Eastern land came under the control and the, what word do I use, an extreme word, of kidnapping.
But what did the people do before this
Let
time?
me explain to you. Many times you go to the police. In fact, there was a particular case I was told in the village. The people went to the police to say, kidnapping has happened in their farm. And then the police say, you mean you could not arrest the kidnappers yourself? Then what are we going to do here? All the times cases are reported. Many times kidnappers are caught by the effort of the local vigilantes. They are taken to the local police station. Then they are told after some time that the cases have been transferred with the culprit to Benin City for further police investigation. That's the last you hear about it. So, and every day people are kidnapped in their farms, women are raped, people are killed, children are slaughtered, people are kidnapped on the road. And people will have to, because it's a poor zone, because now people can't go to the farm, people are becoming poorer by the day. And some people have to pay 500,000 to be released and go home. Some other people pay millions, those who have, but most people don't have this. So, and government is not there to help you. Like I said, you go to the police is not willing to lift a finger to support you.
I will still ask you this question. So what has been the reaction of the state government? What has been the response? What has been the steps taken if they have been so overwhelmed and attacked before now?
Let me tell you, this is what happened. Remember that the police system is not under the government of federal state. It's a federal thing. So what the DPO does, the governor cannot come to the DPO station and say this is what to do. But the challenge was that people said, okay, under Buhari, it was sanctioned that this president supports the headsmen, the Fulani headsmen. So that's why the police system and security system couldn't go after them. People therefore expected that when a new government comes, that there will be a change. But then comes a new government, the issue of kidnapping, the issue of killings.
Mr. David, I'm not going to leave you alone. Because I sometimes believe that the people need to rise up and take some action.
Well, but this is
You're saying the DPO has more power than the governor. There is governors forum. The governors regularly have a meeting with the president. Why didn't they say something? Why was there no form of demonstration or anything to show that I am surprised somebody needs to do something?
Well, maybe this is the best way the people look. By the time this incident happened, the people had had it all. The people were tired. I mean, when you have a situation when the community or the people, I'm saying the whole of Eastern land. Eastern land is a people known for farming. Today they can't go to the farms because my people from my village are poorer than before. And you go there, everybody can't go to the farm anymore. And there's no government to cry to. So what do the people do? So when you saw that incident happen, it was a reaction of the people who were just tired. They didn't know what to do next. Because see, if you go to Oromia and the whole of Asia, where I come from, we have a lot of people of the northern extraction. They are there. Malams, we respect them. Because we see them as very special people, Malam, we respect them a lot. So they are there doing all sorts of things. In fact, I remember going to my village a couple of, a short while ago, and I saw a young man on the street. He didn't look like one of us. So I asked him. He said he's from Jigawa State. I said, what are you doing here? He said he's a Mebola. You know Bola? That is a scavenger. What are you going to scavenge in my state? In my village where there is nothing to even eat, you are a scavenger. That case is a matter for another day because he was not there as a scavenger. He was there for something else. But we have them like that. We respect them. In Uromi, it's a metropolitan town. People from the Niger Republic, from Benin Republic, from the north, are there. And when you go there, all tribes are represented. So the northerners are there. They are well accepted. But when people, I talked about ethnic profiling earlier. Each time people are kidnapped, the people you have to negotiate with, or when the people come back and you ask them, who are those who kidnap you? It comes back to the Fulani headsmen. So, and so because people cannot distinguish between the Fulani headsmen and other northerners, so anybody that they see is of the northern extraction, it becomes an enemy. It becomes an enemy automatically, even when they don't know what is going on. But because of what the people are going through, even now as I speak to you, people can still not enter their land to farm. People cannot.
That seems to be the case in Benue. That seems to be the case in Plateau State. So, given the sensitive nature of some of given the sensitive nature of some of the security challenges, especially with regards to farmers and the clashes, what should the government do now as it is affecting so many economic activities?
I have, a very unorthodox approach to this whole thing. If the government is really serious to do business, first thing first, withdraw all, escorts from politicians. Let all be vulnerable. Then I'll tell you what will happen. It means
I don't think it's about this.
No.
The IG said all the what happened.
I'm going somewhere. I say it's unorthodox.
Somebody needs to implement
No, it's
that.
unorthodox. Now, once you withdraw that, it means simply that every policeman or security agent that you have will have a duty now. The second thing that we need to do is to look at a review of our recruitment system. We have a very faulty recruitment system. We don't recruit based on merit. We recruit just simply by political interest or something, because the president has his own quota for every recruitment that's supposed to be done. The Senate president, everybody has that quota. So if we don't follow the right profile, do we have people who truly are meant to be policing us, or we have people who have been sent? There was an AIG who was in the House of Rep that he said he saw so many, the Senate, so he saw so many people, so many criminals he arrested and detained, some convicted that he saw them in the National Assembly. They all have their own candidates. So if we have the right recruitment system put in place,
That was actually said.
yes, it was said. You can actually Google it. It's actually there. If we have the right recruitment process, we'll be able to have the right people to be in those places. The third thing we need to do is to see that there's justice, there's fairness, there's equity, there's equality, and there's accountability. How does that work? It's simple. It means every political office holder needs to be accountable to the people. Then we ensure that those who break the law are punished according to the provisions of the law. Now we have a case where it says something about, political accountability. Let me say this here on air. In every state you get to, there's an extraction of a particular ethnic nationality that is either the DPO or a commander or something in that state, from military to paramilitary, in every state. Once you arrest a Babambola or the community tend to apprehend them, you will get somebody who comes to release them from the same extraction. So you can't get proper policing and justice system because the country generally is actually captured in true sense. How? Who captured it? It's simple. The jihadist Osman Danfodio, movement still reigns today. That's why you find them everywhere. Two, we have our people who accommodate them in the sense that before any other comes to your community, they oftentimes will pay a fee to have a place to stay, which is a place of rights. Now, they transform into other things. Once they pay that fee, it gives them that sense of ownership. And before it's happening, they come in their clusters. And before they spread, then the criminals come alongside with them to commit those crimes. The day you touch any one of the animals, then you have the person attack that comes to entirely wipe a community to prove to you that you don't get to do it, because a House of Rep member told us, a lady, that they see the cow as human beings see themselves. We heard that, and nobody said anything about it. How do you equate the animal to a human being and you don't care? But in other parts of the country,
animals also have their rights in developed countries.
No, they have their rights, but why do you eat cow meat? You eat beef, except of course you're a vegetarian. We should all be vegetarians if they have rights. Even if vegetarian, you're not supposed to eat plants because they also have their rights. So if you go through that route, there is going to be, but we also need to understand there's also what they call the genocidal approach that is taking place in some of these places. Southern Kaduna, some communities have been completely sacked, and you have them renamed. In Benue, it's also coming up. In Enugu, they can't even go back to their farms. In Ebonyi, same thing. It's not only in Asian land. I'm from Kola. Kola is actually the last community in River State that's bounded to the Bight of Bonny, which is the Atlantic Ocean. We have them also in my community. The rights that they exercise in those communities is unbelievable. There are cases where they've been apprehended in committing crimes, released by the CEO, the commanding officer of the military, because of the same extraction, Fulani. Now the Hausa is actually different, but we don't always know that because they're all grouped as the same thing. And so the Hausas are also complaining. If you go to Zamfara, what's the crisis in Zamfara? It's between the Fulanis and the Hausas. For the purpose of supremacy. It's not because of one diamond. Yes, the mineral resources is contribute to it, but the core reason why you have that going on so well is because of this dichotomy. It's also happening in Kebbi. It's there in Sokoto. We must tell ourselves some truth, that enough is enough. There are people of good conscience that can stand to speak. If we devoid ourselves of ethnic and religious sentiments, then we can tell ourselves that my brother here has the right to live and go about his normal businesses. Same thing with me, not because of his faith, not because of his ethnic nationality, but because he's human. If we display that disposition and allow benevolence to become the key thing, then it means we'll now begin to have an egalitarian society. The way we are going, if we're not careful and we look at it from a political perspective, we'll miss the point and we'll no longer have a country to live that will call ourselves as Nigerians, because every ethnic nationality wants to begin to protect their own space. Nobody can come in. Now we heard from that environment that everybody, all the French should leave that zone. They are calling for them to leave Enugu. But we have people from Asia that in the north. Would they ask them to go back to their place? That's what's going to happen. I saw some young men calling for the establishment of all Christians in the north. Some of the Muslim extraction speaking vehemently. The police have not gone to arrest. There is nobody who commits any crime in this country that cannot be seen or located in this country. We have the technology. The government, as we speak, have the capacity to not only just go on pattern tracing, to look at your phones or your financial relationship, to be able to get to know this is who you are. They can. It's only when it's of political interest that they can pick you up and make a post. If not a political interest, they don't pick you up. Why? Because there are people who also benefit from the chaos that is going on. There are politicians, there are some big people who are connected to politicians who benefit from all of this crisis. They send their boys to use as a negotiating, prowess to negotiate with the government for better opportunities. That's what they do. But we don't want to say it. They are the mongers. They are the mongers that you find in the war zone in North Central, Northeast. They are the mongers you find in the banditry relationship that in quote you have. They are not bandits anywhere. They are pure criminals who have seen criminality as a merchandise with which they can go on. They use religion as a basis, and they also use ethnicity as a basis. They are not basically all of that. And I've taken my time. I've been in this country for a long time. But from adulthood, I spent more than 30 years. In government service, I've done more than 27 years. So I can tell for a fact there's one particular thing that goes on. It's a trend. It's everywhere, from north to south, east to west. It's the same thing. We can tell ourselves the truth and address issues, but we will not want to do that yet.
So, Mr. David, moving forward, what should actually the government be doing? Because it looks like the people are ready to defend themselves, going by what the former military was. I'm trying to remember his name now, from Taraba, that Nigerians should...
Danjuma.
Even
the DGSS says so.
In 2018, because I've been on this for a while, looking at the internal security crisis in Nigeria. In 2018, Danjuma actually said that, and we try to amplify it. Now, where we are is that if government does not move quickly and decisively, we could have a nationwide genocide, because people will target whoever they think having a problem to them. Because there's a common denominator to all the crimes of kidnappings and rapes and this kind of crimes all over the country. Whether you are talking about Southwest, because of Amotekun, the Southwest have a bit of reprieve. But if you are talking about...
Where is Amotekun now?
No, they are still active. But even though they are not able to, they don't have the capacity to confront these headsmen. Because the difference really is that...
I thought the governor said they are fully...
No, the difference...
they don't have state police yet.
The difference is that Amotekun...
Amotekun is not a state police.
No,
that's it's supposed to be.
It's not a state police.
It's like some form of security created.
It's like a security company.
It's created by law. It's created by law of the states. But they are not like state police. They are different. State police, of course, will have different structures.
So what makes them not to be able to?
The difference is that the kind of armament that the Fulani headsmen carry and that which other people carry. Now, you're saying that my community should defend themselves against people that are carrying military-grade weapons. You're asking them to defend themselves.
So the question is, if I may come in, how did these guys have the weapons, and why can't your community have the same kind of weapons?
Because
I was going to ask, can the governor buy such?
No, this is what happens. The state, the community hands are tied by government and law, by police. If my people carry military-grade arms, they'll be arrested by police. But if a Fulani headsman carries it, they turn their face.
So why so?
So it's an issue of injustice.
That brings me back to that point.
Like I said, it has the capacity of burning this country, because when everybody does the same thing that happened in Europe, because everybody is facing the same crisis, and like I said, government is tying the hands of some and losing the others to go and do whatever they want to do. The forest we have in various places in Nigeria are occupied by Fulani headsmen.
So, like I heard, if it's true, the people were actually arrested and brought to Abuja, and the governor of Kano State is asking that they should be paraded, despite the fact that the IG has said nobody is going to be paraded.
This kind of demand comes in because
what do you make even of that statement?
Well, it shows the kind of country we have, and how we don't live in a country that is supposed to be a country. Some people believe that they are superior to other persons based on their ethnic nationality or based on their faith. So when they do things, they should not be paraded. When others do the same thing that they've always been doing, they should be paraded. They want to be able to go to the foot in the length of the law. You have, Jackson in Adamawa State's case, invaded in his farmlands. Defended himself. And at the end of the day, he's going for it. Right? The law says so. We've also had cases where some persons were arrested as a result of their mayhem committed in Benue State, handed over to the police. The military arrested them, handed over to the police, and they were let loose. We have cases in those who did the killing in Nebo, in Enugu State, some years back. They were arrested in Kogi. The DPO that arrested those guys had clips from their phone of the killings that took place in Nebo, recorded the processes. It was transferred I'm not giving you just stories. That case, dead on arrival. So you tell me, is there no something that should be of concern to all of us as a people to say enough is enough? If we must call ourselves a country, then we must live like such.
Sure, quickly, enough is enough. But what should be happening?
What should be happening? Simple thing that should happen. Nigerians across the board, whatever ethnic nationality you are, should learn to understand that the law gives it capacity to self-preserve. So you have to protect yourself. Whatever means you need to use to protect yourself, be on your guard. That's the only thing I would say. If it needs you to go get double action and get your license, fine, do so. Last year I was robbed 4 times in Abuja here. The police couldn't help me. They couldn't. 2017, I was stabbed to death on the streets of Abuja, Mabushi, just under the bridge. My car broke down. I was waiting after 8:30 p.m. I called the police. They said I called the wrong number of the police. I should call another number. I finally, when I got to the station, they said to me, you're all good though. They only want 4 places to stab you. I'm telling you, this is what they said to me. That the other guy they called the guy's name, 21 places, even his eye. So you find yourself in a sorry state. So the next thing I need to do is to find any means necessary to protect myself. That's the next thing I want to do.
We need to go.
Well, the issue is that, look, the DGSSS hit a bull eye when he said that communities should defend themselves. I mean, that is the end of it. Government, the police, number of police we have in Nigeria, less than 400,000. 30% of that are doing other things than policing. And then they talk about every year we recruit 10,000 people. In 10 years, we will have recruited 100,000 people. In 10 years' time, Nigeria population will be 280 million. So you are talking about a police force of how many? 500,000 protecting 280 million people. I mean, it's a joke. So what we need to do, we need to have a complete overhaul of these issues. Number 2 is that the community must be allowed to defend themselves. Community must be allowed to bear a level of armament.
I'm afraid for that.
That seems to be the only
solution. It has its own downside too.
The solution is this: there should be regulation. Once you have allowed community to bear arms, there should be very close regulation. The DSS can regulate, the police can regulate, civil defense can regulate, but that is the only way to go right now. If we refuse to allow communities to arm themselves, to defend themselves, then you're going to have Urumi all over the country. I mean, Benue State have not yet exploded. The South West have not yet exploded. Plateau are not. If everybody then decide to take it out against who those they perceive to be their oppressors, then we're going to have a conflagration in this country.
Gentlemen, I most sincerely appreciate your time this morning. We've been talking about challenges of security network in Nigeria, the recent killings in Edo and other states of the Federation. I just hope this will provide a platform for the conversation to happen and then for government to step in. Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. David Okoro is the Chief Security Strategist, International Institute for Security and Governance Studies. Thank you for your time. Mr. Calvin Fineface, Security Expert and Energy Consultant. Thank you for it.
It's a pleasure.
My name is Bukky Towuru, and I'm saying a big thank you to the producer, Georgina Humphrey, assisted by Risikati Jeme Eugene Ubun Piro KK, and the program supervised by Chikeze Chinkata. My beautiful Victoria Gaiji is here. The multimedia. You can see the video on the YouTube at Capital FM 92.9. My name is Bukky Towuru. Again, we'll join the network service for the news. Stay with us.